Hi everybody, it is Kristen and we are here today for a few quick tips. Today we are going to be talking about preventing tearing during birth, which is probably one of the biggest things that moms worry about when they're about to have a baby. Before we get started, I will just jump in. I am Kristen from naturalbirthandbabycare.com, and we talk about everything pregnancy, birth, baby. And so today we're going to just cover a few tips real quick to talk about tearing during birth. Now, if you want to learn more, I've got a little handout that I put together, and it covers 3 steps to prevent tearing during birth. And what we're going to talk about is 3 of the little things that are included in those 3 steps, but we're not going to talk about everything in the 3 steps. So if you're interested in getting everything, you can check that out at birthbabylife.com/stop-tearing. Again, that's birthbabylife.com/stop-tearing. Now, what are some things that you can do practically to prevent tearing during birth? We're going to talk about things that you can do while your baby's being born. The first thing to do is no coached pushing. So if you've watched any sort of birth on television or in the movies, you see the mom kind of stuck halfway on her back in bed, and she's got her eyes bulging out and her veins are bulging out, and she's pushing as hard as she can while somebody nearby, a nurse or a doctor or her birth partner or her husband, if they haven't had his character faint flat on the floor, is going 1, 2, 3, and she's pushing along with that. The actual medical term for that is the Valsalva technique, and it's not really a good way to push a baby out. There are many reasons why it's not a good way to push a baby out, including oxygen deprivation to mom and baby. You would think that we would have clued into that a while ago, but also the forced pushing completely ignores what mom's body is feeling, and it completely ignores what baby's body is doing. So during pushing, you may actually want to slow down, or babies, yes, it can cause high blood pressure. So babies actually do what they like to call 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We joke about that for a lot of things in life, and a lot of things that we want to make progress on. We often take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And babies often do that, especially a first baby. It's not as common when you're having a second or especially subsequent babies that kind of just like steamroll out. But especially for a first baby, it's pretty common for the baby to move down a little and then back slightly, and down a little and then back slightly. And that, the baby is doing a lot while that's going on. But one of the big benefits of baby doing that is it actually gives mom's tissues time to stretch, time to move. Yeah, sometimes, and I'm actually going to give you a tip for that, sometimes the fast babies, they just come out really fast, and that can cause tearing, so that's definitely a thing. But if at all possible, if baby's kind of coming down and then going back and coming down and going back, it's best just to go with that. Don't go for coached pushing. Don't push past the urge to push. So, and often when we get to the pushing stage, you'll feel a break, and it's a longer break between pushing contractions than you might have been getting with the last contractions of the first stage, or the last of the dilation and effacement contractions. So you'll often get a break. So no coached pushing. Push when your body tells you to push, and usually you're going to know when it's time to push. If you've got an epidural or something on board, it may be harder. That's one of the reasons why coached pushing really came about, I think, is because moms couldn't feel. But hopefully you're going to be able to feel. Hopefully you're going to be able to have a natural birth. Definitely check out my mama baby birthing classes if you want some more practical tips on how to have a natural birth. But again, you go with what your body's saying, and when your body says don't push, regardless of what anybody else is saying, because you want that break, you want that chance for baby to get oxygen, you to get oxygen, your tissues to get oxygen. That helps minimize the chance of tearing. Another thing, and this is something that can help, like the mom who just said that her baby came really fast. Another thing that I think is really beneficial for preventing tearing is hands. And there's actually 2 parts to that. One is your care provider's hands should not be there. Okay, research studies, this is actually evidence-based, have shown that hands around the birth canal, around the perineum, anywhere, either don't do any good at all, or they increase the chances of a mom tearing. So that could be a doctor who's quote unquote guiding the baby's head out, which is very common. You can watch lots of birth videos with this happening. That there's no reason for that, and it may cause tearing. Especially they're not jerking usually because they don't want to have a lawsuit against them for causing a problem, a brachial plexus injury or something with the baby. So they're usually not jerking, but they are usually exerting some pressure that is not supposed to be there. Another thing is a lot of people who have a midwife think that perineal pressure, warm compresses or something along the perineum, or oils or something like that, that's one of those midwifery traditions that research has looked into and has said, this actually doesn't do any good and may cause harm. So we'll talk about slowing down too. So that's something that was really interesting for me when I looked at the research, because again, as I went through having my first babies and everything, and my midwife, it was like hot compresses on the perineum with olive oil and stuff. That'll help prevent tearing. That's not what the evidence shows. The evidence shows that the best place for your care provider's hands are here and here, with them sitting on their hands and away from your perineum. We're going to talk about that too. So again, with hands, your care provider's hands away. However, your hands are different, okay? So your hands, this is something that I think is really helpful for those speedy babies, is having your hands down there so that you are not only feeling the pushing, you're feeling your baby come from inside your body, but you also have your hands down there and you can kind of feel what's going on. So women naturally will often do this. They'll often put their hands down. They'll put their hands down on baby's head. Some women will naturally do this kind of thing or this kind of thing and support the tissues. They'll put both hands down there and support on either side. And I couldn't fit everything in today. One of the things that's in the handout, so y'all go to the birthbabylife.com/stop tearing, because I talk about positions in that handout. Positioning, if you're in a position where you're well grounded, so you don't have to feel like you're holding on for dear life, you can get your hands down there much more easily. So check out the handout. But again, if you have your hands down there, so some women will put support down there. Some women will actually, and I don't know, I might get in trouble for saying this on Periscope, but some women will put their hand on their clitoris. Again, it's just different things that different women instinctively do. I've always put my hand down right over the baby's head, feeling the baby's head. And I actually think that feeling the baby is a good thing, but I believe that when you're in an active birthing position, it's a lot more powerful than, if you're kind of stuck like this with your feet up in the air and they're like, oh, do you want to feel your baby, while your baby is trying to come up against gravity and everything is the wrong way. It's very different than if you were in, say, a standing position or a kneeling position and you could naturally put your hand down there to support your tissues. So again, position is a big thing. So check out the handout because I do talk about position in the handout. And another thing, okay, so your care provider's hands off, unless they're really needed. Obviously, emergency situations happen, but usually they're not needed. Okay, and then your hands down there, and also with that, be in a position. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 is use breathing and panting if you need to. And this is where I can totally relate with you mamas who are talking about, baby came really fast, or I just wanted it over with. And actually with my last baby, with my Sadie, who just turned a year old, I can remember while pushing her out that, I really just wanted her out because I was feeling that sting. And, I had my hand down there and I was kind of trying to push things out of the way so she would come out, but it didn't work. I had to wait for the next contraction anyways. But, I can just, I can really empathize with that feeling of, oh my gosh, I just want to get this over with. I just want to push. I just want to get this kid out. And if you look, if you go get the little download, the freebie download, you'll see in there, when you feel like saying, just get this bleep, 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 bleep kid out of me. That's the one time where I think you should really work hard to kind of stifle that natural instinct and instead use breathing, use panting. Again, what really helped me with Sadie was just having that hand there and kind of just realizing, okay, I have to stop, I have to breathe. one of my favorite authors. She's passed away now, but the late Janine Pavardi Baker. She has a story. She's a midwife, but she has her own birth stories in one of her books, and she talks about the birth of her fourth baby, which was a boy, and she talks about that feeling that she just had to get him out, and she basically, was trying to pull herself aside, and she ended up with a big tear, and she feels certain it was because of that. So if things feel like they're moving really, really fast, like this steamroller kind of feeling, then just that breathing and doing everything you can to slow things down. And again, I think that hand there where you can really feel and you can be like, okay, just gonna breathe for a minute, breathe through the sting because it does sting. Now I also have some tips to talk about what you can do during pregnancy to take that sting out, but we're not going to cover those today because I really do feel like you can do things in pregnancy that will take that sting out. And with my sixth baby, Corwin, I was pretty good about doing that sort of thing, and he came out so sweetly, so easily, so gently. Nobody realized that he had been born. No sting, no nothing. And then Sadie, the baby after, I didn't do quite so much dedicated work to make sure that things were going to be all, soft and gentle down there. And there was that sting there with her. So I really think you can do a lot of things that make a difference. But these 3 tips were really, just there for right in the moment when that baby's coming through. So again, no coached pushing. And with hands, ask your care provider to keep their hands away. You feel free to put your hands down there. And then also use breathing, use panting to help slow things down consciously if you need to. I'll also add a quick tip on the end. This is something that research has shown can be beneficial, which is, it's not contrary, but it's a little bit different. So one thing that research has shown is beneficial is if your baby is really right there and crowning and the contraction stops, and you can give a gentle push basically to gently breathe your baby's head out, research has shown that that can be beneficial. So you're not like trying to blast your baby's head out, but if you can just give a gentle kind of push and the baby's head is going to come on out anyways between contractions, research has shown that that can be gentler to the perineum or to all the tissues down there. So I hope that those tips have been helpful for you, ladies. And remember, you can get the entire tip sheet by going to birthbabylife.com/stop-tearing. That's birthbabylife.com/stop-tearing. I will plan to be here tomorrow. I know that we've been kind of sketchy because we've had sick kids and just craziness, but today has been a great day for me. I hope it has been a great day for you. I'm planning to be here tomorrow with another birth tip. I will talk to you soon, and you guys have a blessed day.